Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and I don't typically review toys on the channel, but this one looked rather interesting. I got this through the Amazon Vine program. This is called the Anki Overdrive, and what it consists of are a number of track pieces. You get 4 of these straightaway pieces and 6 of these curved pieces. You build the track by just attaching these little track pieces together here. They're magnetic, but they're also flexible, so you can set up jumps and ramps and all sorts of neat stuff. They include a couple of support beams in the package also. And then you take these little cars out here, connect your mobile phone to them, and they will semi-autonomously stay on this track, and you can drive them around controlling their speed and lane position and try to beat out your friends or computer-controlled opponents. So your iPhone will actually, or your Android phone, can actually control opponents that you race against on a physical track. It's kind of eerie, actually, when you play with it. They have virtual weapons on board, so you can shoot nothing projectile at each other, just virtual stuff. You can shoot at each other and slow other cars down or knock them out of the race. And it's really amazing how well this works, because there is nothing that keeps these cars on the track here other than a small optical sensor that it uses to figure out where it's at. So as you're playing, you can twist the phone and it will move the car into position on the track. So you have 4 different lane positions and you can control the speed. They do occasionally run off the track. A lot of times the car will just autonomously find its way back to the track and get going again. It's really pretty remarkable how it works. So I did do a quick sample race, so let's check that out and see how this works, and then we'll come back and I'll talk a little bit more about it. All right, we're going to do a quick open play race here to see how this works. So we're going to go in here. We do have to select a computer opponent because we don't have any real opponents here right now. So I'm going to choose our robot friend here. Each of these computer drivers has their own personality. It's kind of fun to see how differently they drive, different levels of aggression. They have different race modes here. They have battle, which is where you try to score points by shooting virtual weapons at your opponent. There's a race mode, which is what we're going to do here. There's also a King of the Hill, kind of a knockout thing, and a time trial. So let's do the race. We're going to select 15 laps here. I'm going to put myself in the faster car, the Thermo, and then we're going to put our robot friend here in the other car that's on the track. Now what's cool is when you're about to start the race, what the cars will do is scan the track. So they'll build a map inside the app as to what the track looks like. So you can see both cars here kind of going around the track, reading what pieces we've used to put this together. So these tracks can be configured any way you want. This is what you get in the standard package, but you can, of course, buy additional track pieces and do more things with it. So now the track is done being scanned. We can begin our match now. It's going to take a second for the app to load up here, and when it does, I'll show you how to control the car. So we'll get our countdown here, and the throttle is on the left, so I'm going to be in the red car here that's going slower than the other car. And when I get back to the straightaway here, what I'm going to do is just start tilting my phone here, and you can see I'm changing lanes. Now, it won't run off the track. It's basically got 4 different lane positions that it will put itself into as we're twisting the phone here around. So you can see it moves across those. And I can, of course, speed up and go much faster. This is the faster car. This is an optional car they sell separately. So this car can really cook. And there's also like an afterburner mode that you can get in one of the other game modes too. Now, if I want to fire weapons at my opponent here, I can do that by tapping on this weapon here. We got to get close to him. So maybe I'll slow down here, let him buzz past me. And what you can do is slow them down by firing weapons at him. So you might see that his car is blinking if I hit him. And if I bring down his energy level, what will happen is he'll have to pause. So it's very similar to what you might see with Mario Kart or something like that. Now, this car just ran off the road. The cars will attempt occasionally to get themselves back on the track, but I have carpet, and it might be hard for him to get over that bump right there. So he's pretty much fallen off the track. Typically, they do stay on the track pretty well, but it is possible if you get around a corner the right way to kind of whip them off the track, especially if they're going really fast. So that's the only thing that I noticed. But you will see here that the car does a pretty nice job of keeping itself on the track pretty autonomously as we're driving around here. So pretty cool how it all works. Not perfect, as you can see, but it can be a lot of fun. So now you can see how it works. I did run into a couple of little bugs as I was playing with it. When I was in my training mode, it was having me go out and shoot at my computer opponent that was running around the track with me, and I kept hitting him, and he never got knocked out of the race. I think it wasn't detecting things properly. I reset everything and started over again, and then it worked a second time. I also had some issues on occasion connecting to the cars. I had to quit the app and then reload it. This is kind of early on for this model of the product. They had an earlier version too, so I think there's just a little bit of glitches they have to work out in the app. Expect the battery life to be around 20 minutes or so, give or take, depending on how fast you are driving. They include a 4-car charger in the box, and the charging is about 30 minutes or so. And one thing you should be aware of is price on this. So the starter kit is $150. You get those track pieces that I talked about at the outset. There's also 2 support beams, so you can make a little ramp if you want. They also have a tire cleaner for these cars. So you want to keep these back wheels very sticky, so you want to just run that little cleaner on them occasionally to get stuff off the tires. I got a dog, so you can see some of the dog hair on the track here, so that's something I may want to do quite frequently with it. But when you start adding on things, if you want to make a bigger track, which is really cool that you can do all this modular track design, that's when it's going to start costing you. So 2 of these curved pieces are $20. Same price for the straightaway pieces. They have launch kits for like $20 or $30 also. So you could really get into the $400 or $500 range if you want to build yourself an elaborate track. If you want to add cars, it's also going to cost you some money too. These add-on cars are $50 a piece. And what they've done is they've programmed them or maybe equipped them with different attributes. So this particular car, they included a couple of extras in my review kit here. The Thermo is very fast. It has weak defense, which is more of a software setting, I guess. So, you can kind of pick and choose the different attributes that the cars have when you buy them. So if you want a car that does something different than what it comes with, it's about $50 a piece for each additional car. So this is going to be an expensive toy, especially if you want to use it the way they're marketing it to you as a very modular system. So you can do what they said, about 8 different track configurations with what comes in the box, which might be enough because honestly it is actually quite big. But what I did find is that it is a very tight track. Even though it looks rather large on the floor, these little cars move so fast that it's very hard to know what's going on, especially lane changes when you get into some of those curved pieces there. So I think you definitely want to plan to spend a little bit more than $150 to really design the kind of track that you want so that you can really get a good feel of control while you're racing the cars. But they do tend to stick on this track very well. This is pretty remarkable, not only how well these cars drive on here, but also how smart the artificial intelligence is too as you're playing. They've got a lot of neat game modes where you can, the more that you play the tournament mode, the more you can level up your car and get different weapons and other things like that too. So a lot of fun. I think this is really like the next iteration of the slot car. I used to play with these little Tyco cars when I was a kid that were electric cars that ran on a little track, and very similar. You can control their speed and sometimes I think lane changes, but those were a lot of fun. This is kind of the next iteration of that with a lot more freedom of movement. This is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching. This channel is brought to you by the generosity of my Patreon supporters. If you find the channel helpful, you too can contribute for as little as $1 a month. Visit Lon.TV/Patreon to learn more.